Welcome back to the Takeout. With bipartisan approval, the Senate advanced a measure today that would restrict President Trump from using more military force against Venezuela unless he gets approval from Congress. Joining me now is one of the authors of the bill, California Democratic Senator Adam Schiff. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. This was a major development. You tried to do something like this before. It did not pass. Now it has 5 Republican votes. What do you think the trigger was that led them to vote yes?
I think it was a couple of things. I think first, this began as a campaign that the administration claimed was about stopping drug-running boats. But it became very clear in the aftermath of this military operation that this was really about oil. If this were just about drug running or it were just about the apprehension of a fugitive, Nicolas Maduro, and bringing him to justice, then the bringing to justice would have ended when he showed up in the courtroom. It would not have required us to essentially commit to running another country for the indefinite future or seizing its oil. So I think that the circumstances have changed. The president also in his statements talking about a long-term continuing role in running another country also, I think, raises the alarm bells significantly for Democrats and for Republicans. So that has broadened the support for our resolution.
Do you think this measure has a chance of passing in the House? And the president called it stupid today. It's highly unlikely that he would sign it. So what is the value of going through this exercise if at the end of the day he's not going to get on board?
Well, first of all, this is going to force a real debate on the Senate floor. This essentially brings to the floor the body of the resolution, brings out from the classified spaces where all of the oversight has been done to the degree it has been done at all. Not a single committee has had a public hearing on this. Armed Services hasn't, Foreign Affairs hasn't, the Judiciary Committee hasn't. So we're now going to have a fulsome debate. If the administration believes that it is worth risking the lives of American service members to secure the oil resources of another country, then let them make the case for that and let us put that to a vote. So it's going to spark an important debate in the Senate. I hope it will force a vote in the House. I think it has a very good chance of passing in the House as well. And yes, the president will probably veto it, but does it still matter that Congress goes on the record in a bipartisan way rejecting this use of force? It does matter, and you can tell how much it matters by the immediacy and the vehemency with which the president has now threatened Republican members who voted for it.
The president is getting a lot of attention for something he said to the New York Times. You just touched on it. He said that his oversight of Venezuela could last for years. How do you interpret those comments, and do you think that that should require congressional approval as well?
It absolutely should require congressional approval because, let's face it, there's not going to be a way to run another country at a distance. We're going to need to put boots on the ground, and those boots might start out with diplomatic boots. We may reopen an embassy or have diplomatic personnel there. If we do that, we're going to need security for that personnel. If we do that, we're going to need more security for the security. And pretty soon, you've got a major presence in the country, a country that has a lot of hostile elements, from drug gangs to regime elements to foreign powers intervening in Venezuela, like Cuba and Iran and Russia, all of whom are going to want us to fail in Venezuela. So we could really see ourselves getting bogged down there. And that's the risk. Hearing the president say what he did, I think, brings a lot of muscle memory back to the Congress of a lot of the hopes and expectations about Iraq and its oil resources. We're going to pay for the remaking of that country in a democratic image. Of course, none of that materialized. And the cost was predominantly borne by our service members.
I want to ask you about this tragedy in Minnesota because so many people seem to see what they want to see in that video of the woman in her car being shot by an ICE agent. What do you see when you watch that video?
Well, I was struck by a few things. First of all, it's horrifying to watch. And to think about this 37-year-old woman drops her kid off at school, not involved in protest activity or anything, seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But at one point, she's waving other cars to come on past. trying to make sure that she's not in the way, although she's been pulled over. And then you see her trying to turn away from these officers, and the shots fired into the car. The wheels of the car pointed not towards the agent, but away from the agent. That's what leaps out to me from the video. Now, there needs to be a full investigation, but that full investigation needs to have at the table, with access to witnesses and evidence, the Minnesota law enforcement authorities as well. This cannot just be Kash Patel designating FBI agents that he wants to reach a certain conclusion, or Kristi Noem doing the same. Neither of those people can be trusted to run a fair investigation. So Minnesota has a right, and I think the public has a need for credible and independent investigators to be looking at this.
Very quickly, Kristi Noem says that Minnesota investigators have no jurisdiction here. Is that true?
No, it's not true. A Minnesota citizen was just killed. They have all the jurisdiction in the world to look into this. She's also called this woman a domestic terrorist without any evidence for that. She's just a reckless mouthpiece for the administration. So you can't really, sadly, believe anything that comes from her.
Well, a lot to watch in this case going forward. Senator Adam Schiff of California, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.